to the Outcast. I'm your host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today we have a guest with us. Introduce yourself, my good friend.
Hi, I'm Ghetto King.
So the reason we have Ghetto King here is because he's a dragon expert, and the reason we need a dragon expert is because we're talking about season 3 of the Dragon Prince. Yes, it's finally here, and we're here to talk about it and to our heart's content times, I suppose. Um, Ghetto King, before because you weren't with us when we reviewed the previous two seasons, what were your thoughts on the previous seasons of the show?
I have to say I really enjoyed it. I mean, in the first season it was a little bit, what do you say, laggy, with the frames
Mm-hmm.
per seconds, but they really improved in the second season, and I really loved that Wonderstorm took the advices and the feedback of the fans and really worked on them on season two.
Okay. Were you excited for season 3, or was it just like, oh, it's coming out, I suppose I'll watch it?
I desperately was seeking season three. Really, I couldn't wait for the release.
Okay, and now we're here, and we've all seen season 3. I'm not sure how long it took Wolf to binge it all, but I know that Ghetto King and I actually started watching it together, and then I had to jump. But he finished the season before me because some people dragged me out of the house to go to the movies, so I had to take a break after 6 episodes, which was hurtful, but I survived. Wolf, what was your? How did you approach the season? Did you binge it all
Oh, I
in one
binged it
go?
all in one go.
Mhm.
I think
So yeah.
Friday morning when it came out, it was done by Friday evening.
Mhm.
Just decided,
Okay,
hey, I have a free day, so we're gonna binge it all.
smart man. So
Mm.
now it's the part where we actually start talking about the seasons. Non spoilers. What were your thoughts about Dragon Prince season 3? Because in my personal opinion, this is the best season, bar none.
Well, for me, it's also the best season of all three. Already the trailer was amazing, and it really exceeded the expectations of the trailer. I really loved it.
Mhm. Wolf, you're quiet. I don't like it.
um. Okay. I want to preface what I'm about to say with the fact that I did enjoy this season. It was very enjoyable. I had a lot of fun with it. There's a lot here that I liked. With that said, this isn't my favorite season. I think season 2 still takes that because
You're
this
fired.
season fair enough.
I approve.
This season I have a having watched it Friday and then having these 2 days to kind of sit back and think about everything and kind of let that soak in. There's a few issues with that I have that kind of stand out to me personally. Maybe it's me being nitpicky, and some of these issues could be fixed as we get into a season 4 and we see what answers that season gives us as well. But as it stands right now, season 3, I don't prefer it as much as I did season 2 because of those issues. And we'll get into talking about some of them, and I'll get into talking about some of them as we get into talking about the different episodes as well.
But overall, we all enjoyed the season.
Yeah.
We would all recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
Wolf just prefers season 2 over it,
Mm-hmm.
which fair, all things considered. But you know something? What is it about season 2 that you liked more? Is it just several plot
Well,
elements, or
for me, I think, right, I guess I could say this without spoiling anything. For me in season 3, and I'll get into more specifically as we get into like actual spoiler territory, but for me in season 3, Callum felt like there was not much of a point in him being there. right?
Hmm.
And I get right. Season 3 is definitely Rayla's season to kind of figure out who she is and her place in this world. Just as season 2 was, very much Callum's season, right? Like season 2 was for Callum to figure out like his place in the group and where he belonged and what he could and couldn't do, right? And that's what Rayla had for this season. My issue was that, at least in this regard, there's some other issues that I have that, again, very spoilery, so I'll have to wait on those. But for this particular issue, in season 2, Rayla still felt like she was a part of the group and that she was contributing, right? In season 3, Callum didn't, in my opinion. There was very little that he actually did, in my opinion, other than just talking a lot. Rayla didn't feel like that in season 2, but Callum did for season 3, and that kind of, as I sat back and thought about it more, took me out of it a bit, because it felt like there were ways that Callum could have helped more or did more, and he just didn't. And it just felt a little bit needless to have him around at that point, in my opinion.
I can see a bit of what you mean in several parts. Well, again, we'll get to this later when we get into spoilers. But now that you bring it up, I see what you mean. It doesn't take away from the
No, I
season,
don't think it
but
takes away from the season majorly. But again, like I think that's my thing though. Like this season, it's not so much there's anything that majorly takes away from it, right? But it is there is a few smaller things that make me go, I'm a little bit, wishy-washy on the smaller things, and they take me out of it ever so slightly, and so they kind of make it drop just a bit, in my opinion. Again, I still enjoyed the majority of this. Like, I still loved it, still had a lot of fun with it. It's still very good, worth the watch. It's just a few small things that, for me personally, drop it down ever so slightly, in my opinion.
okay. Well, with that said, are you guys ready to get into the spoilers territory?
Mm-hmm.
By majority's vote, Ghetto King says yes to spoilers.
Yeah, I say it.
So spoilers from this point forward. If you haven't seen the season yet, close the video, watch the season, and come back later. Because not only do we need the views, but because we mostly need the views. Anyway, 3, 2, 1. You're still here? Then let's talk spoilers. Episode 1, Soul Regan. The picking up
So,
from the cliffhanger of the previous season, Callum and Rayla are trying to get past Sol Regem, the dragon which protects Zadia, and
well, kind of protects Zadia. He's blind, so he's not exactly protecting much, just that little area of Zadia.
well, honestly, if you saw that big ass dragon in the entrance to a city, if you weren't there to try and bring about world peace, you would probably get the hell out of there, blind or not.
Fair enough. I mean, even if you were trying to bring about world peace, you'd probably still want to get out of there. I want to talk about the flashback at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
Because this is something I really like about season 3 and what it does, right? Because up until this point, we've kind of been led to believe somewhat that the humans caused their own, the humans were entirely at fault for them being kicked out of Zadia originally, right? Like it was all the humans' fault. The elves and dragons did nothing wrong, right? That's kind of what you're led to believe for the most part. But that flashback shows that it's not entirely true. Yes, the humans used black magic. That was entirely on them. That was their choice. They screwed themselves in that regard. But you kind of see like they did this because they wanted to be equal to the dragons and the elves. And you kind of see, like, based on Sol Regum and some other characters we'll get to later, that the elves and dragons were very arrogant and looked down upon humans and saw them as lesser than what they were simply because they couldn't use magic. I love the fact that they did this, right? I think this is one of my personal favorite things of season 3. Like, we see that not all the elves and dragons are good either. Like, they too have issues, just like some of the humans do.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, you.
No, go ahead. I just want to say that I agree.
Yeah, me too. Because it really shows they don't do this stereotypical thing like you're evil, you're good. They really
Mm-hmm.
show how human you can be. You know?
Mhm. Yeah, and this is also a strong way to actually open a season, if you ask me. Like
Agreed.
this is a way to mm, to really get you into speed and get you into gear and just have fun with it.
Agreed. And it's a nice little tidbit to the intro that we've been getting for so long as well, because these are, Soul Regum and the mage that we see in this little flashback are two characters that we see in the intro for the past 3 seasons, right? So
Yep.
we get to, finally learn about these characters and see kind of what started it all in a way.
Yeah, and we also see why Solveig can see.
Hmm.
So it's not just that he can see. We can see that he lost his
Eyesight.
eyesight in a pretty brutal way, if I may
Hmm.
answer. Because God damn it, this guy is still bleeding. Even after all these years, these eyes are still bleeding, and it's ouch.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, what are we talking about first? Callum and Rayla against Sol Regem.
I'd
Amaya
say
being
I'd
okay.
say go kind of go in order. So Callum and Raylo.
So they are trying to get to Zahidia, and Sol Regem, notices that there's a filthy human in there, and they decide to trick him. And I'm not sure what I think about the fact that they trick him by giving Ryla Callum's a scarf, and this will like attract his smell. This is like so he can so humans are literally smelling dirty in this universe. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's more because they've been on the journey for so long, and they just start to smell. But what I actually can't really understand is that Callum should smell far stronger than just his scarf. So Regan should um, notice that it's something else than Callum, because there's another the same smell scent, just
Mhm.
stronger somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, mm, yeah. So this is I get what they were trying to do, and honestly, it can work. There's it's a one way to make it work, and they both of them do make a use of their abilities in this. Like Callum actually uses magic in order to get past, which is
Hmm.
good. And just a good scene, to really get you into, because up until this point, even though we did get a lot of Callum and Vala interaction, they were never necessarily by themselves, because they did have Azran around. But now that it's just the two of them, it is interesting to see them actually, you know, use teamwork together.
Hmm. And I mean, it kind of goes with what they've been doing for a long while. That it's them together, right? It's them working together and doing things together, right? And managing to overcome any obstacle they come across together, right? Like that's been
Yep.
something that the past 2 seasons of building up, and I like how this continues that in this first episode. Also, going to bring up the fact that Rayla wearing Callum's scarf was absolutely adorable, because that red just suits her color design so much. Like, that was great.
Mm.
I loved that. That was
Give,
just a small
give,
moment that I personally adored.
Give me fan art, people. I
Hmm.
need fan art.
After that, we had, I guess you've already mentioned it, but I'll go ahead and mention it again. Rayla defending Callum was also a little nice thing. It was very neat to see. Very awe. And okay.
Considering what's coming later in the season, it is a good build up.
Okay, absolutely agreed. After
Agreed.
that, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I have it written down. Ezran knows how to make an entrance. By the way,
Yeah,
rides into the
definitely.
rides into the throne room on the back of a giant bear thing, giant bear cat bear. whatever you want to call it.
I mean, I mean, wouldn't you?
Mm. He even manages to get one for Corvus as well, so kid knows how to make an entrance.
Yeah. Asmund though didn't have that much of a big part in this episode one, but the thing that we do need to bring up is General Amaya being captured by the Sunfire Elves,
General
and
Janai, I believe her name is. Well, she
Mhm.
may not be a general, but but her name is Janai.
Yeah. Uh, and one thing I will say, when Ghetto King did bring up the animation, I think the action sequences in the fire with these two looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So so this was another great part, and I do like that Amaya actually saves her and doesn't let her die.
Yeah,
That,
that's really great.
besides, Amaya is one of the best characters in this show,
Understandable
and
and agreed.
I did check. This is actual sign language. Like they actually did the research on what she's saying. So I like it. That's good.
Yeah,
That's
I
cool.
like it too. It's just a shame that it's not in the subtitles. That sometimes when nobody says what
I wish,
she
right? I
did,
wish that was the case too.
yeah,
Mhm.
It'd be nice, like it would just be a nice nod to, like if you don't know sign language, right? But at the
exactly.
same
Yeah,
time, I guess it kind of gets those who don't know sign language interested in learning, or at least kind of figuring it out somewhat. So I get why they may not have done it, but it would be nice, like if it was in the subtitles what she was signing. That way you could kind of
Mhm.
figure it out as well and figure some things out on your own too.
Yep. So anything else to say about episode one?
I think it was a good start to the season, to be honest. A very good
Mm-hmm.
start.
yeah,
Yep.
I agree.
So next up we have the crown, and I just want to say, having having Callum and Rayla walking around Zadia, and Callum just being a dolk around all
An
the force
absolute
creatures.
nerd. Callum
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Zim
it's
as well,
amazing.
nerding out with just
yeah.
both of them
Um,
nerding out about all the stuff in Zadia.
But
Yeah,
by the way, I just want to point out Zim is still adorable, and
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure they give him dog sounds every once in a while. These
They
are
do.
dog sounds.
They do. They are. Very much so.
Yeah, but yeah, I love Callum just being an absolute nerd about all of this stuff.
Zim plushes win. Guys,
Mhm.
Zim
Yeah.
plushes win.
Um, Soon, hopefully soon.
Mm.
We'll go away nicely with my Toothless and Light Fury plushes. Thank you, Ghetto King, for one of those, by the way.
you're
And
welcome.
So,
so,
I love these guards. That one
yeah.
got me more than what I thought it would. The joke with the guards and Ezran just messing with them with the door and just trying to continue to get them to do everything, and then the fact that they kept repeating everything he would say. I loved those guards. That got me. That was very funny, very adorable. All right. Clap for that one. That was good. I liked that.
Mhm. This actually is something cute because Aspen is still a kid, so it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense he would
Oh,
act
sure.
like this and actually find this amusing. So
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy that, and I also like that for that not only because he is debating throughout the episode if he should actually go along with being king because he's not sure if he's ready or not, and his advisor actually tells him, you could let somebody else be the king until you feel ready. But no, he actually wants and attempts to take that responsibility, and he also tries to find other way. He outright says, "I'm not my father, and I'm not going to try and be the king my father was." And
Mm-hmm.
for a kid, he's probably the most adult person in that room. Uh,
Yeah, I agree. It's really great how, especially how they showed how he struggled. Um, because he wasn't sure if he can handle it. and that's what I like about this show so much. Just like with the handling of the death of their father, um,
Mhm.
it's yeah, it's just
Quote
great.
unquote death, you mean? We all know he's the
Why?
bird. We all know he's the bird. Let's be honest. We all know he's the bird. Come on.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
If you say so.
Say so. I know
So,
so. Get out of here with your say so. Get out of here. You're fired.
one, you can't fire me, and two, if you say so. Now,
But I can do
um,
this.
Oh no, he muted him.
Ha 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 ha. You've been unmuted now.
oh, you think I was unmuted, but maybe I unmuted myself. Get wrecked. But anyway, back to the show before this becomes a bit more convoluted than it needs to be. So, but anyway, Aswin does forgive, Claudia and Soren and lets them go. And this brings up. I think it's in this episode. Not the next one that Claudia and Soren actually discuss, discuss with Viren if he actually
That's
told them
next
to kill the
episode.
princess.
That's episode
That's the
3.
next episode. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm confusing the two. Okay,
I
but
wrote that one down because I have a word on that one. Talking about this one, Prince Kasov is a new character we're introduced to in episode 2, and he
yeah,
is, with the second he walks into the room, it's like just this feeling of, I wrote down, Prince Kasov is intense. Like, they nailed that feeling very well. Like, dude is intense.
yeah. This is another thing I like that it's so easy to make a character like Aesop being so up his own ass and annoying with like why won't you listen to reason and everything, but at the same time you kind of tell why he wants to go to war. You can understand why he's acting the
I mean,
way he is and
you can tell
why.
he's angry. You can tell that there's an upsetness there, right? Like there is an anger there behind all that. It's not like hey, I'm important. Listen to me. It's very much I might be important, but that's not the point. I'm upset, very upset. Like he cared a lot about his father and all of that. So you
Yeah.
can tell it there.
So yeah, that's another thing I like. That you could argue that it's not the best. It's not an achievement in screenwriting or anything, but
I mean,
I appreciate the extra level.
they never overplayed it though, and I think that's important too, right? Like they could have made him way more in your face than what he was, but they didn't.
And he also he is willing to listen even if he doesn't agree, and he shares very strongly that he doesn't agree, but at the same time you can tell that that he still listens, but even if he doesn't go along with it, he still give it a chance, because other characters like this would have been like, no, I'm not willing to hear any of this nonsense, we are going to attack.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's episode 2. Unless we
Oh,
have something else, I think actually, do Claudia and do Caleb and Ryla actually arrive at Ryla's village in this episode, or is it the next one?
The village is in the next episode.
yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's in the next episode. This one is just Callum and Rayla going to a few different places, and Rayla showing him a few different things. Like we had the little ball creatures
Yeah,
that
the ball thing.
stack and
If the
stick to
ball thing,
everything.
if the ball thing doesn't become a plushie, I will be very mad.
Yeah, you could definitely tell. Like
Sticky
some of the
plushie.
creature design here is very much. We're gonna sell merch of this merch.
And you know what? Bring me that merch. I would
Fair
love
enough.
that.
Fair enough. I'll give them credit though. If they, they'll be missing a trick if they don't sell these and they aren't able to be stacked together or stuck
Yeah,
together.
that's another thing.
If they can't do that or don't do that, then they've missed out. So
Yep.
if you're selling merch of the little ball things, I forget the name of them. If they don't stack or stick together, you're missing out. Netflix and Wonderstorm, you're missing out, and you've missed a trick.
All I'm going to say is magnets. Make them magnets.
or Velcro, I guess, but magnets sound better.
Mhm.
Um, I also want to point out a small joke that also got me. I'll admit, bread sandwich
Okay.
from Soren. That was funny.
Oh yeah.
That was funny. That one got
Yeah.
me.
Mhm. That was good.
After
Okay.
that, just
So
yeah, a lot of. Also, I loved. We got to see in the credits of this episode young Rayla, and that was very cute. And speaking of the credits a little bit, I love how they do like little different drawings in the credits, and you get a little bit of a spoiler for a future episode, maybe
you
in the
see,
credits.
you see, and I think Ghetto King would agree with me on this. Who cares about the credits? I just press next episode the minute
No,
they start.
I
I like,
totally disagree. The
yeah.
credits, they are amazing.
Thank
Really.
you. Get out of here, HC.
Yeah, get out.
No, I won't. When shit gets going, I don't care who made the show. I would wait until the last episode to see who made the show.
I like seeing the credits. The credits in this is really worth seeing because you get a bit of, of that,
Background.
that, and you get a bit of that, storyboard art. Like you get to see little pieces of art of the different characters in different times in their lives, stuff like that. It's just nice stuff to see.
Yeah.
So this is something that I'll have to come back and check later because
It's
when
worth
I
going back through a little bit just to watch some of them because some of the
Yeah.
art's really nice,
Mhm.
and I like the
Okay.
fact that they do that. Also, Bait the Tyrant.
ate the time. Oh yeah. um.
Other
So
than that, we can
episode
move on.
3.
I'm done. Yes.
Okay. So I just want to say when the Calm and Rayla arrive at Rayla's village and all of a sudden all of them have no face. One, my first reaction was and the second thing, anyone else think of Slenderman?
No, but I can see why you did, though.
Because there's no face.
Mhm.
So I don't. It reminded me of that. But this was actually this is actually an interesting mythology in my opinion that she didn't carry out the mission, therefore she's been quote unquote abandoned from the village, so she can't see anyone and no one can see her. That's interesting, and at the same time it's kind of creepy that you fail to do something and you're it's not even that she's shunned or that
She's
they don't
cast out. She's
yeah
Yeah, she's
entirely
banished.
cast out.
yeah
But not so much banished from the village, can't come back. Everyone can still see and acknowledge her. It's like she doesn't exist to them anymore.
yes
Very assholeish and dickish. And I'll have
Yeah,
words.
and
I'll have words on this in a later episode. I'll have words. I got words for this, but I'll wait
okay
because it's
I
more
will
important
say
for that episode.
I will say Callum trying to be Callum trying to be an elf like Krala tried to be a human in the previous two
I
seasons.
was wondering when that joke would make its would show its head because they did it with Rayla too often for them to not make the joke with one of the other human characters pretending to be an elf. I was
well
wondering.
there you go
It was just as bad as I thought it was going to be.
well
That's
what
funny.
can and the thing is that it actually might work because it just puts those two sticks on his head and it works. Like nobody, when the actual what's the elf's name that actually talks to her? I forgot his name.
Ithari.
Yeah.
Elves. Blood.
He. You do realize he wasn't fooled by it, right?
Well,
was
the show
humoring
didn't
him.
get. Okay, if he was humoring him, then the show didn't make it clear enough.
That's. Well, I mean, Rayla did say, "Don't humor him."
Well, it was more because of Colin making stupid puns. It's not necessarily because he noticed he was a human.
I think he noticed.
Okay, fair. Maybe it's maybe it's up for interpretation. But the thing is, I kind of like and am kind of creeped out by that mythology. That she's she can come back and everything, but to them she's literally dead. Even though her flower is shining in that well, which is actually another thing that this is like a result screen or something.
I want to point out because we skipped over it a bit. That scene with Callum and Rayla opening up the Moonshadow Elf homeland, beautiful to watch.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely
Yes.
beautiful to watch. Just beautiful animation there. Just absolutely gorgeous. Very well done.
And their part of the episode ends with that. She does manage to talk to that one elf and
Atari.
Athari,
Atari. I will remember that name eventually.
Renan's husband.
And
Yeah, I really love that part.
Yeah, it's another, hey, we introduced some more gay characters.
mhm,
Cool.
yeah. Mhm. And so I did like how even though she's cast out and no he does take the time to listen to her. He does and when he sees him, he's not necessarily, oh, we should take care of him, and no, he actually lets Ryla carry on the mission. It's not another asshole who's like, oh, we will have to do this because it's on a no. Despite Ryla being cast out, he lets her do it, and he actually
I feel
provides
like
her
he
and
does it
Caleb.
because he thinks that's the only way she'll be able to not be cast out later. Like they'll uncast her out, if you will, unbanish her would be the word.
Yeah, probably it's a good option, but I'm saying that
Still got
I
words
think
about that.
and yeah, I think any other show would just make it another obstacle, but no, he actually helps out, and that's fun.
It's the least he
That's
owes
good.
her. But anyways, um, the scenes this is the episode where we got Claudia and Soren talking to Viren, and holy shit, Viren, what a dick you are as a dad. Seriously.
Oh yes.
Yeah, this actually cut me off guard that Claudia actually calls him out, and it's like, oh, did you actually tell Soren to kill the princess? And he's like, oh no, I didn't do that. Like, how did you even hear that? And it's like,
So he,
fuck
he
you.
literally stands there and says, you know Soren, my son. He's not very bright. He's an idiot. He makes these
Yeah,
mistakes. It's like, fuck
yeah.
you, dude.
hmm
What
Yeah.
a dick.
And on that note, Claudia still supports him after
Mm-hmm.
this, which
Claudia, not a
is
great sister either, to be honest.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I get it. She genuinely wants to believe her dad. Like, she's not completely innocent, but she's not completely at fault because she wants to believe her dad. She wants to try and keep her family together, right? Because she
By the
has
way,
there's issues with separation, which we'll see later. But
by the way, on that note, before we go on, to say, shout out to a good friend of mine who was supposed to be here with us today, but she couldn't make it due to her own reasons. But Soren is her favorite character,
I understand.
and
We'll get to why after this season because he
yeah,
definitely showed up for me too.
yeah, but he was her favorite even before this season. She
Cool.
even
can see
cosplayed
why.
him. So so the thing is that I'm sure that at that point she wanted to kill Viren like nobody else wanted to kill Viren
She probably
ever.
wasn't very happy with Claudia either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you're watching this, I'm sorry you couldn't be with us, but just know that I will carry all of all of the thoughts I know of in this podcast, and we will celebrate Soren when the time comes.
Always welcome for season 4.
hmm
If
That
and when we get it.
Yeah, well, this is the spoilers territory. So as we saw, we are getting most,
Hopefully, if
90%
Netflix setting
sure.
aside, it's canceled. We're done. Fuck you, Netflix.
Yeah,
But
so Viren, terrible father, Claudia,
mhm.
terrible sister, and I felt bad for Soren in this, but and yeah, is this the episode where Azran gives up the crown?
No, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken, that is
The next episode.
yes. This episode, we do get to see Amaya being interrogated by the Sun Elves. We finally get to
Oh,
hear
by the
Janai's voice and and some of the other Sun Elf voices. Loved. I think that's a French accent, is it not?
I think so.
Very.
too,
I
yeah.
loved the accent. It was very well done. I love the voices behind them.
Actually, when they interrogate Amaya, that's something. Look into the light. This looks painful as shit, and I would not want to be interrogated like that. That's all I have to say. episode 4?
Um,
Um, just before we go
oh,
to
go ahead.
episode 4, something I remember um, is what I also like about the credits is sometimes they give you the even informations that we don't know yet. Like in season 1, episode 8, they already introduced Afari in the credits, where he cried when the flower of Runa sunk, and it's just lovely, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It shows how well thought through this whole show is.
Yep.
Completely agreed.
So, episode 4?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Midnight Desert. In this
So-
episode, we.
This introduced my newest favorite character. I love her design.
Yeah, I need to
Nyx.
draw this at some point.
I love Nyx's design so much. She is great and wonderful.
Yeah, and I also like that giant camel thing that they're traveling on.
Ambler.
You know, again, just to show how much imagination goes in this thing. Like,
I gotta admit, like the creature design, they've always been top notch in this show. Like it's always been
Yeah.
something very unique that I haven't seen many other places. That you see in other areas somewhat, but it still feels very unique and very original to this world.
and apparently there's a point in this episode where they get into this Oasis thing, and uh, one of my friends told me this is a reference to a song. Um, do any of you know what she's talking about?
Which part now?
And when Nyx brings Callum and Ryla to the Oasis, where they camp for the night, and she ends up stealing Zim.
If it's a reference to a song, it's not one I'm familiar with off the top of my head.
I'll have to look it up in order to remember what it is. Like I just heard a few hours ago, and I kind of forgot. But anyway, so while in that oasis, though, something happens that I think a lot of people wanted to happen since season 1, and this is Vala kissing Callum, and I have to say I wanted this to happen. What
too.
about you guys? Okay, Ghetto King is with me, and now Wolf is going to break the chain because Wolf doesn't understand fun.
No, I'm not. Again, I've said it many times. I'm not a ship person, but this is fine, right? I have no problem with this. There's nothing wrong with it. But we should say, like, the entire relationship, quote unquote, doesn't really start this episode. It's very much
No,
she
there's
kisses him.
a
Callum's very much. That's not what I meant and intended at all, and so we kind of go off onto this awkwardness between them for the rest of this
and
episode,
she said,
right?
"We'll never speak of it again." And yeah.
until they notice that Nyx, stole them, and then they need to get him back, and that's their plot this episode.
I want to go back a bit and talk about that bug doing that whole spider web thing across Viren's eye.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Fuck that.
I didn't remember if it was episode. I didn't
It was
remember
this
if it was
episode because I
episode.
wrote it down
Oh,
because that
it's
just
okay. It's this
bothers me.
episode. Okay. Oh no, this scene bugged me too. Pun
That
not
was just
intended. This
nope.
was
Nope to that.
yeah. Like I like the idea of the effect of it, that you can now see him and talk to him and everything, but that was too much for me.
They did it well. I'll give them this much. If they wanted it to be creepy, they absolutely succeeded because Viren's VA nailed the noises he was making, because the noises he was making just added to it in a in a good bad way, if you get my meaning. Like, just no to all of that scene. Just no. Never again.
Yeah.
But they did again, but we'll get to that one later too. That bug, man.
Wolf this entire season has been, we'll get to this later.
Stuff I want to talk about I think is more prevalent in later episodes, okay? Give me a break, HC.
No,
Also,
hey, you are making fun of me all the time. I'm allowed some jokes myself.
are we going to talk about the reference in this episode?
But another thing that happens and we need to bring up is that, um,
Yeah, are we going to talk
you
about
know,
the reference in this episode?
what reference?
Boomerang.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but how is that a reference?
I mean, you have the VA of Sokka who notices a boomerang. They make an entire deal
Oh,
about that. Like, come on.
mhm,
Anyone who's seen, everyone has to know what that's referencing.
mhm.
And I hate them
Okay,
for it.
okay. I'll be honest. That date flew over my head, but I was because. But I think because that point I just accepted that yeah I know that Sokka's VA, so I'm just
That's
not
not the
making the
only
connections
reference we
anymore.
had this episode, though.
Well, um, they flew over my head. I wanted to be a honest.
The other reference they had this episode was another Sailor Moon reference with Callum transforming from elf Callum into human Callum.
Yeah,
That was a
not
Sailor
sure
Moon
how to think
reference.
about that.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So, and I'm going to be honest, right? I kind of dislike how on the nose they're being with the references in this season. Like, this is an issue I kind of had. In the second season, they would do, like, you had Sailor Moon references, but it was done with, like, hand gestures, right? It was nothing major, it was just small stuff. I kind of feel like they hammed it up a lot more in this season, and personally, I wasn't as fond of that. I like the more subtle stuff, right? I'm not as fond of your way more hamming it up nature with your references in this season. Like the boomerang, the
That's
Sailor
fine.
Moon transformations. Personally, for me, it kind of took me out a bit for how hammy you were being with it, right?
That's fair. Even though I don't mind references. Again, like I said, this particular one just kind of flew over my head because I wasn't looking for them, or maybe I'm just an idiot, but it didn't bother me much.
I mean, again, it's fair. Like, it's very much a nitpick for me, right? It's just my personal preference. I'm not as fond of that kind of hammy of references, right? Most of the time.
Um,
Sometimes I'll see them and I'll be way more into them. It just depends, right? I'm very hypocritical, if you haven't noticed.
well, before you become too hypocritical, what do you think about Ezra and you know, surrendering himself and Viren being the king?
Um, I mean, I get why Ezra did it, right? He wanted to stop the war. Like, he didn't want people to die on his behalf just because he didn't want to go to war with Zadia, right? And also,
Mhm.
he wanted as many people to live as possible, so he did the best decision he knew to make. Like, I think he did really good with that. Like, like, it sucks for him, right? Having to be chained up like that and taken down there. And I love how, again, like, Ezra's way smarter than people give him credit for, right? Because he's walked down to that jail cell with Viren there, and Viren says, "I'm sorry this had to come to this." And Ezra just stands there and tells him, "No,
Oh yeah,
you're not."
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
this was
so
a
so
great
great,
moment.
so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Mhm.
really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
Ezra
I
is
love
best
that.
kid.
But I love that though because he has because he knew like him and Viren both knew like no you're not sorry you don't care. Also, the fuck is up with this random advisor dude, by the way? Like, why is he suddenly evil all of a sudden? Is it just for money? Was that the only reason? Like, why did he suddenly? I don't like Ezra as king. No, I would rather have Viren
Um,
back. Why?
bec-
You were
um,
against it before, random advisor dude. Like, it just feels like such a weird turn all of a sudden.
uh, you know, I get what you mean, but at the same time, I think this was part of Ezra's plan, as we will see in future episodes.
Ezra's plan?
Yeah, that they actually you know, they break him out, so that he could
No,
join
I'm talking
Calm and
about
Violet.
no, I'm talking about the random advisor guy. The random
Oh,
advisor
okay,
guy
the random
who
one.
who went and paid off the guard so Kasuf could see
Okay.
Viren,
yeah.
and they're the one and helped them both create this plan of, hey,
Okay.
we'll attack
Okay.
Katalis if you don't step down as king or if you don't agree to the war, right?
Okay. Yeah. So yeah,
Like
I
that felt
confused you with.
a little
I
out of
confused you
nowhere.
with. Yeah. I confused it with the girl advisor.
Hmm.
That okay.
No, she
So
was
I.
fine. She was fine. I think,
Mhm.
right, like, you could definitely tell, right? At least to me, I felt like when she comes up to Ezrin and says, hey, if you don't want to be king, you can, have an advisor do this for you instead, right? And to me, that felt like, you want him to give the throne to you, don't you?
Yeah, that's what I
Mhm.
thought as
It's
well.
like, there's a little bit of political intrigue coming from you, too. Like, you might respect his decisions more than, say, the others do, but you're a bit iffy as well. Just a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. He was really random. Like I think they just needed like a third character to say, oh, to get the plot going.
I
So yeah,
guess, right?
might
Like,
as well.
it's not too out of nowhere. Like, you can say, like, hey, this was a person who was just in it for the money or what have you, right? Like, he was looking for extra power himself, right? So he saw a way to get it, so that's what he did. It still felt a bit like, this random dude made things happen, and it just kind of felt a little bit out of nowhere personally, but at the same time, it's not like the biggest issue ever, right?
Mhm. Um, yeah. So again, the plot thickens in this, and again, I do love the ending where when we mentioned, when Viren tells us, "When I'm sorry it had to come to this," and it's like, no, you don't. Shut
Yeah.
up. You
That was good.
and this leads us to episode 5 with with Viren now the king of Katalis. So Soren and a few other people help Azran escape, which again I like. This is the point where he starts to shine, and I love him for it.
Or who
Yeah,
starts to shine?
sorry.
Soren.
Yes, absolutely agreed. Like Soren, I genuinely, I think I would say Soren stole this season for the most part, right?
Yeah, this was basically his season.
And well, I mean, I think it was between him and Rayla, really. Like I think Rayla
Yeah.
definitely took kind of the first half of the season, and then Soren came back in the later half of the season and really just
Yeah,
started to shine.
I mean it more because Rayla was kind of a main character, an important
Oh, sure,
character
sure.
since the start.
We're calling
Soren
Soren not
really
a main
steps
character
up.
now, HC. Is that
No,
what's happening?
I'm not saying he's not a main character. I'm saying that in terms of stepping into the spotlight, this is
Saying
his season.
saying Soren can't be a part of the Dragon Prince crew?
Can you fucking shut up? That's all I'm going to ask you. Can you shut up and stop talking
Fine, I
nonsense?
won't say anything more for the rest of the podcast.
Good.
That's not going to happen. I'm
You
a
you
hypocrite,
just
remember?
you just said something.
I
You're
said I'm a
out.
hypocrite before too, remember?
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Um but yeah, like I agree
Okay.
completely. Soren really started to shine this episode, and I loved like the change from him saying, "Hey, I don't like what's happening. I'm going to try and help out the people who I think are doing a lot more good than what my dad is." Like, I don't think my dad's a good person anymore. I'm going to kind of fight against that somewhat. But you can also see, like, he still wants to try and be there for his father, right? Like, he still wants to believe that his father's not terrible
Yeah, and this is actually a conflict he has
at
with
this point,
himself,
anyways.
yeah, and I do like that. He's not, he's not 100% gone into the good guy side just yet. He's still,
Yeah.
he's doing the right thing, but at the same time, you can tell he still cares somewhere for Viren. He still cares somewhere for Claudia, even if he doesn't agree with them.
Yeah, like he still wants to believe in that in his father, that what his father is wanting to do is for the good of humanity, right? He wants to believe in his father still at this point. He still wants to believe
Yeah.
that there is good in his father, that his father is making good choices, even though he's starting to doubt that fact.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also,
And
I loved Bait bringing all the jelly tarts into the prison,
yeah,
right? and
Yeah,
just
Yeah, that's lovely.
yeah, Bait was
Bait is. I don't think we mentioned Bait enough until now, but Bait is still amazing.
yeah, Bait's been always been fun, but I think Bait kind of shown up a little bit more in this season too. Like he definitely stood out a bit more. Like he had some good
Yeah,
moments.
Yep.
Also, Bait is terrible at hiding. Also, good lord,
Well,
these guards are stupid. The hay is
oh
glowing.
yes, yeah.
Hmm, interesting.
it,
Go on now.
yeah.
No wonder
Well,
Ezran's dad was killed. If the guards look at glowing hay and say that's neat.
I can, at that moment, I just imagined that if the assassins were like Solid Snake and walking around under boxes, they wouldn't notice that the boxes move. Honestly,
There's a fan animation for you fans.
yeah. All right, Colonel, I've got something up my sleeve. We're going to murder the king while hiding in boxes.
Runan
Genius.
sneaking through, the Katala's castle
Yeah.
in a
Under a
box,
box.
and the
Yeah,
guards
exactly.
noticing him and being like, that box moving, neat.
Nice.
Yep.
Man, if somebody please draw this, make an animation out of this, do something with this,
Mm-hmm.
because I might do something with this myself because this is too good. But anyway, so again, so Soren and a few of Aslan's supporters free him, and the bird from season 2 comes back to give Ezran a ride to catch up with Calm and
Yes,
Yeah.
Ryla.
Fifi and the
Yeah.
Moonshadow Elf, who is Fifi's owner. They come back, and we see another Sailor Moon reference when she transforms into her human form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, might as well. I mean,
Yeah, that's fair. Like again, it's very hammy, but it wasn't anything majorly bad, right?
mhm.
Um,
and then we have Callum and Ryla trying to get Zim back from Nyx, which, by the way, this was the part that so both Ryla and Callum managed to reach up to that camel thing that she's riding, and then they're like, Give up, we got you," and it's like, "Oh, did you?" And I'm like, "She's going to fly, she's going to fly, she's going to fly," and she flies.
this is where I can finally bring it up. Why is Callum and Zadia with Rayla? Why? Because he's honestly kind of useless. And I talked about this at the beginning. This is an episode I can bring it up in. Dude can shoot lightning from his hands. She's flying. You can still get her.
This, I think the reason for this is because plot, but I get
But,
what you mean.
right, like, a lot of this feels like, hey. So here's the thing, right? Like, we see Nyx fall from the sky, and she's surrounded by soul fangs, and she needs help, right? She needs to be rescued. Okay, Rayla, you go down there and fight the soul fangs off in close quarters, so that way you might get bit as well by the soul fangs. That seems like a smart idea when we have Callum who can, use a wind spell and blow wind and blow them away.
Yeah. But
Yeah, okay,
Like,
that's a good point.
and
That's
I
a good
get
point.
why they did it, right? They did this so Rayla could be awesome, so they could come back, and so Callum could say, "Hey, you're amazing, you're a hero, you're a wonderful person," and then Callum kisses her, and that's when this is the episode when the relationship finally starts. It's a great moment,
So, yeah, okay.
but
This could have been. I think I agree with you that this could have been better if
I feel
they would
like
have defeated the snakes and saved Nyx together.
well, yeah, I think it would have worked a lot better if they had worked together to do this. If Callum had been more involved instead of just hiding behind a sand dune in the back, right? I'm not saying Callum needs to come in and save the day and save Rayla like she needs to get in trouble and he needs to save her. That's not what I mean here. I would have loved it if they had worked more together in this. If they had been working more together and we could see Callum be more part of this little group they have and be more proactive within it and doing more this season. And that's one of my main issues that I had with this season is that Callum very much felt like he was just along for the ride, right?
Okay.
To me,
yeah, but
anyways.
I kind of have to disagree with you there
Oh, go ahead.
because I can understand that what you mean, but you have to think that Callum he's not a warrior, So
Sure,
I
sure.
can understand that he doesn't think of using the lightning spell or the Aspiro spell. So yeah, I can really understand why he didn't help Rayla, because he might have been too scared and couldn't think of anything.
And I get that, right? I do understand, like, how people will very much disagree with me on my opinion on this, right? And I probably am in the minority, right? Like, this is very much, as I said at the beginning, kind of a nitpick from me. And this is something that future seasons could very well fix for me and do better. And I'll be completely happy. And I'll look back at season 3 and say, okay, I saw that the wrong way, right? Like, I very well could come back if, when we talk about season 4, and be entirely different in my opinion, right? It's very
I
much.
think I think another thing is that by the end of the season we kind of get it that uh, Callum doing magic is
Mhm.
still a bit of an odd thing in this universe.
Which we
So
never got answers to. But season
yeah,
4,
but mhm.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying though. That even though it's the third season, he's still learning. He's
Mhm.
still trying to figure this out. And when he tells others that he can do magic, they're like, "We are not so sure. You're a human." So
And he has to prove
if
it to them. I get that. Like, again, like, there's definitely stuff going on in this season that I think will be rolled over into a season 4, and a lot of the issues I have here will definitely be fixed by getting those answers right and understanding more, right?
yeah,
But as it
but
stands,
I don't
I
think
did have a problem with it, right? As the
but I
season
don't
stands
think
now.
I didn't really. But I like in to kind of get behind what Ghetto King said. I think just that he's still learning, and he's still not able to fully rely on it.
I get that. I do. I disagree. Again, we're gonna probably disagree here. Like, I didn't. It's not my favorite thing, but I do get where you're coming from, right?
Basically.
Yeah. Again, I
So,
get
mm.
it.
But let's just close the topic in this episode by Raylom is a thing. Huzzah! I'm so
Hmm.
Ghetto King be happy with me because this guy is not a shipper.
Who said I'm not a shipper?
He means me.
D-
I'm not a shipper. I
Oh,
don't do
okay.
ships all that much, so I don't celebrate. I just go, yeah, woo. That's what you get from me.
Uh, I got a woo. That's better than anything.
No, you gotta woo, not a woo. You gotta woo.
I got something that sounds like happiness.
Again,
I'll
like,
take
Callum
it.
and Rayla's very cute and adorable. Like, I'll completely stand behind this ship. Like, I think it's been built up to very well. They handled it very well this season as a still, young budding love thing. And, it's good. It works. I like it. I'll stand behind it. It's nice. Well done on their
Okay.
part. I want to bring up, before we move on to episode 6 real quick, the how Viren did, like, Viren, standing in front of all those soldiers, telling them, "Hey, some of you, we were told, by."
Oh, I thought this was the episode 6, but yeah, I did want to bring that scene up. That
No, this
scene
was
was
episode 5. Like,
great.
Viren
Okay.
standing in front of all the soldiers, talking with them and telling them, "Hey, King Ezran said that some of you should be allowed to stand down if that's what you want to do, so you can do that." Like, and it's like, hey, I thought he was going to be a decent person there for a minute, because he stands back and says, "Hey, don't attack them, don't shame them. That is their choice. Let them do that." But then, all of a sudden, but they will be, have to wear this badge for the rest of their lives that says they were cowards. It's like, damn, dude, you really are a
Yeah,
dick.
yeah, but
Yeah.
as much as Vern is a dick, I love that a few of these soldiers actually did stand up and say and gave up the option to fight in that
Mm-hmm.
battle. I love that.
It was
Yeah, I
I
love
amazing.
love
that
that.
too.
But again, like, I think the scene was done really well, right? Because you have the other soldiers jeering them and booing them, right, for doing so.
Yeah, but still, and I like that when it's not like they try and go like we are with King Gazran, or this is not what the previous king would have done. They're just we get a chance to go home. we know this is pointless. We
It's,
are going
they want
home.
peace, right?
This,
Like they don't want to
yeah,
fight. It's just that
Yep.
simple. Like it's not about who's on the throne for them. It's just we don't want to fight
yeah,
in this war.
yeah, and that's another thing though that in because again, like I said, in the other show, this will just be okay. The king told us to fight. We need to fight, but no, they decide. You know what? We want peace. Fighting won't solve this. Fighting is why we're in this mess to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So
Agreed.
yeah, great scene, great scene.
Also, uh, gotta mention real quick, Jelly Tart guy. Like I love this
Yeah,
little weird group of Corvus, the
Yeah.
advisor lady, and Jelly Tart guy that Ezran makes for himself, right?
Jolly Tart guy is best guy.
Yeah.
He was great. Like it was a side character who I thought was just going to be used for a
You know
one-off joke
something?
way back in season
If
one, but he came
we
back and was fun.
That's something actually that in jumping a bit ahead, it is fun to see him actually taking place in the final battle
Yeah.
using their jelly tarts. That's great.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was fun.
It
I'll
was
admit
crazy.
it was more
Yeah.
hammy, but that was my kind of hammy. I liked that. That was fun.
I like
Yeah,
it.
hmm that's great. So episode 6.
Absolutely.
This is something that it is kind of funny to think that as Viren leads the kingdoms into battle, into Zedia, and he just talks to this guy, and people are like, is he talking to himself? I don't know. I found this funny. I'm not sure if it was the intention, but I found this hilarious.
I like how
That
Artavos makes this huge deal about has our relationship finally moved up? Am I your little bug pal now? Like he's just
yeah,
having so much fun out of that nonsense. Like, all right, dude, I kind of like you now. You're
yeah.
gonna be terribly terribly evil, but I kind of like how I guess you'd say kind of hammy he is about the little bug pal thing. Like that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Uh, um, Yeah, and then, but something here, Viren does tell, the prince that what's his name? Alavos?
Yeah, Artavos.
Okay,
Oh wait,
yeah.
no. Who are you talking about now? Because you said
Uh,
Prince. And...
co- okay, so maybe I'm confused, but he does tell Alavos, about the time,
Ah,
about
yes,
time
yes.
he and the previous, about the time he and the previous king, went together to slay Zim's father
Mm-hmm.
essentially as revenge for Callum and Ezran's mother being killed.
Mm-hmm.
And this story, this flashback was so good,
Mm-hmm.
and to the point that when I saw the dragon king turning into stone, I was actually taken aback. Like I was like,
Yeah,
this,
that
this,
was
this,
that was my
this
least favorite scene.
I think actually, I think with the group of people we talked about, we call this the feels episode. I think this was this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
This was the least part of the episode for me, really.
Yeah. But yeah, good episode. Good episode. And I do like that. It does end with Ryla and Callum actually reaching the Dragon King, and I'm not sure if it's in this episode or the next one where Callum actually tells Ryla, "I should hate this guy. I should, for what he did to my mother. I should hate this dragon. I'm happy he's dead, but at the same time, that's Zim's father, and I like Zim. That
And
that
I should
that
feel
was
bad because he lost his dad. Yeah, like that was very
yeah,
powerful. Like,
yeah
Yeah.
that,
yeah. Go ahead.
but
It was very powerful. Like I really enjoyed it. Like Callum
yeah.
has a lot of, in my opinion, very good little, I guess you'd say, quote unquote speeches, and you see him and Rayla kind of coming together and saying like, hey, look at Ezra and Zim being together and having fun with one another and enjoying themselves, right? Like
Mhm.
that is the future. That's the hope right there, right? Very nice, very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Also, talking about episode 6, we get to still see a little bit more of Nyx. I love her. She's great. Now that she's not being, totally evil and trying to steal Zim away and take the credit all for herself, she was lovely, fun, enjoyable.
Yeah.
But
Poor
this
Fifi.
is like,
Rip
yeah,
Fifi.
poor Fifi. Yeah,
Yeah.
poor
But
Fifi. But at least she's a phoenix. She will come back.
yeah,
True.
and I really hope we will see her again in the next season or when they need it, when they need her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Also,
Fifi will be missed.
episode 6, we had a bit of Soren being quite more fun as well, enjoyable.
Yeah.
Mm.
Even though he helped Azran escape, he does still try his best to like be his father's favorite soldier. I love
Well,
it.
again, like you can tell, like right, that he wants to be there by his father's side. He still wants to believe in his father, that his father is doing the right thing. He's still conflicted by it. But the more he goes on, the more he travels with him, the more he sees, the more he learns that he is wrong, right? Like that, his father isn't the person that he thought or thinks he is, right? That he's not good.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a very enjoyable thing to kind of see Soren struggle with this somewhat as he tries to figure out where he stands and where he wants to stand in the future.
Yep. So yeah, and this kind of leads us to episode 7. The thing I want to bring up first is that you know, Velen does manage to get the power of the sunfire of the sunfire, and
Fucking
he
gross
like
ass bug again, spitting that thing out. Ugh.
yeah. But what I liked here is that he actually presents that he wants to convince the other soldiers to get that power as well, and then he says you will be convinced once you see the first soldier who gets the power, and then he just volunteers Soren without even asking him, and that and Claudia is like, do it, he's our father, go, accept it. And Soren is like, no. And that's the point where he actually turns against Varen and abandoned. Like,
And we have a moment between Claudia and Soren there as well, where Claudia doesn't want to accept that Soren's leaving. Because she also has her own problems. Like you can see, like she has, kind of abandonment issues, right? Like she has those separation issues, right? Where like she can't accept this and she doesn't want to accept it. And Soren tries to get her to come along, and she can't leave her father because that's splitting up her family, and she just cannot do that. And she can't accept
and that's what I like about the show. People like that like humans for the most part. But then the prince actually volunteers to be the first soldier to get that power, and this ends up bad. I do like and that other general, I forgot her name for a second. Janaya, yeah. Them trying to work together to stop this, but then they're too late.
And
But
Janai
they'll
sees
still,
her sister, the queen, killed.
yeah, that was
And I
also a very
love
powerful
how
moment.
I love how Arvos points out, like, you, like, he tells her, like, your arrogance cost you this, right? Like, her arrogance and how and she too was, part of this issue where she viewed humans as lowly, disgusting creatures, right? And it's that arrogance, it's that pride that cost her her life, right? Like, she paid for that at the end. She, because Arvos tells her, like, you led my vessel here to here because of your arrogance, because of your pride, and lost everything now. And then his final words are to her that we don't get to hear, because he whispers it to her, like, hey, here's how your grandmother died. And you just see her face go into shock, and then he's like, okay, now you're dead. And that's it. I love that. That was great.
Yeah, really powerful.
Yeah. Another thing about episode 7 is that so we have Callum, Rayla, and Azran climbing up the mountain to reach the Dragon Queen. The climb itself, I have nothing to really say, but it's the end. It's the end where they actually reach the top, and they find, is his name Ibis?
Yes, Ibis.
The Guardian there, and they show him Zim, and it's like, "You're too late." Episode cut, and
Yeah,
then the next episode, starts. It's like, "Okay, the Dragon Queen is fun," and it's like, "Fuck off,
yeah,
really?" this was such a
That was a
no.
bit dickish. Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Uh,
you only watch that episode and watch the next episode later, uh, it's understandable that
Could you?
they did this kind of cliffhanger way. But if you
yeah.
binge watch it, yeah, it's kind of a dick move.
Imagine though, right? If Netflix didn't release these in one big group and instead released them weekly, that you got this
Oh,
episode, you
hi
had to wait
Disney
a
Plus.
week. A
Oh,
week.
Yeah. No, you know something? I think if I had to wait a week with this before I knew that, I would have been even madder about the whole thing.
I agree.
Like,
I would have too, because that would have been such a dick move. Like you had to see this and then wait just a week of it's too late.
Yeah.
Black fade to black. The fuck? It's what? Where's my next episode if I had to wait a week? That would be
yeah.
I could just imagine the rage.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
if
but
that was the case, it would have killed people's interest in this season right then and there.
yeah,
Luckily, though,
because
this is all bingeable, so.
Mhm. Thank God for that. But I think they did plan this around the fact that people do binge these things.
Oh yeah,
So, mhm.
absolutely.
But the thing is, that was such a dick. But anyway, anything else about episode 7? Because I think we covered most of what we had to say.
Just a quick, I loved Bates and Ezran's faces at finding out that Callum and Rayla were a thing. That was a little fun moment.
Oh
just
yeah,
go,
this
what?
yeah, lovely.
That was great.
Yeah. Yeah. So, can you guys just keep ahead for a second? I'll be right back. I need to do something quick. Okay.
HC. Just
What
leaving
can
the
I do?
podcast like that.
This is not a funny one, really.
Okay.
So I'll be right. I'll be back in a second.
All right, going into episode 8, then Dragon Guard. So this is one where we're back in. We're here at the Dragon Spire, where Zim's mom is, and Ibis leads Callum, Rayla, and Ezra and the rest of the group to see her and tell them that hey, she's gone into a coma over the grief of losing her husband and Zim. And we also have Soren join us at the mountain as well because he's finally there and he's come with bad information. We also have Zim not wanting to see his mother right away because he's afraid, right? And I love how they show that Zim is afraid of his mom. Not so much that because he doesn't know her and he's never had experience with her and he doesn't know how she'll see him, right? Like that was really nice.
I really loved.
Okay.
And I also loved how Bait finally, how should I say, in the previous season, Bait was always jealous of Zim, but there he was really supportive and stayed with him.
Completely agreed. Like it was nice to see Bait kind of say, "Hey, bro, I'm here for you now. Like I know I've been jealous of you here and there, but it's nice to be back and be here for you for a bit." Like that was a nice little thing, showing just how close those two have grown as well. Other things to say on this episode. Oh yeah, we have, the big thing with Rayla having to be here and thinking that, hey, her parents ran away from this place when they were supposed to protect the egg, and her having a lot of issues with that. And we have, I guess you'd say, Callum and Rayla's first fight in this episode, if I'm not mistaken. Because Callum says that shouldn't matter, and Rayla's like, it does matter, and the fact that you think it doesn't means you never knew me to begin with, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing I couldn't understand there was since he knew he could perform the spell. I was thinking, why didn't he bring her back, so she could see it herself? That
a good question.
She could see her parents once again.
I have another question for you, though. Why did none of the other Moon Shadow Elves cast this spell as well to see this?
Right.
Why was that not a thing? Why did just everyone assume? They ran away, banished them, they're cast out as well. They ran away and didn't protect the dragon egg. It's like, the heck? What you talking about? You have a spell that can literally let you see in the past. Did no one cast that to see anything? Like, that was
Yeah, I
another
didn't think
problem
of
that I
that.
had with, like, the Moon Shadow Elves, right? To me, they're very dickish in a way, where it seems like they just take, like, it seems like the Moon Shadow Elves have this system of, we don't need to find out the truth. We just need to know that you didn't do what you were supposed to do, so now you're banished from your home and your people. You can never meet or see any of them ever again.
Hmm.
End of. We're not going to bother to find out what actually happened because we
Yeah,
already know what happened. That's all. It's like, what?
yeah. They only see the consequences, but not
Mm-hmm.
really
Like they don't,
the reasons.
yeah, they don't go out of their way to understand the reason behind what happened or the why of anything. They
Yeah.
just accept that this is what happened. That's it. We don't need to know anymore. It feels like they're very, very dickish, and maybe that's kind of the point, right? My issue, and this is one of the issues I talked about before that I was going to bring up, was that I'll be really upset, right, if season 4 comes along and the show puts forward this idea of the Moonshadow Elves accepting Rayla back because she did a good thing with Zim and the Dragon Queen, and so they accept her back, and they're all happy that she's back. And if Rayla doesn't call them out for what they did to her as well as her parents,
Mm.
I would be upset by that, to be honest, because I think like they should be called out for that because that's extremely dickish,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
like you just banished me without thinking what happened. You didn't question. You just said, okay, I disappointed you, and I'm banished. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's really a dickish move.
Mm-hmm. Agreed entirely. Anything else about episode 8?
Yeah, what I liked is where when Callum wanted Ibis to teach him some sky magic, and when he said um, that he's a human, and can't do magic, like like everyone else in Xadia who thinks humans can't do it, then they are lesser things, and Callum just performed the fulminous spell and proved wrong, and
Yeah,
it was really funny.
yeah, I agree. I
You
expected
could see he was um, I'm not sure how to say it.
surprised.
Now Callum has more self-conscious.
Oh yeah,
He, back then, I don't think he could have done it. He would have just tried to say he can do it, but now he just shows it and bam.
yeah, that was nice. I agree. I expected more of a reaction from Ibis. Like Ibis was like, "Huh, you can do magic. Okay, cool. I guess." Moving on, like he moved on so quickly from being shown that a
Yeah,
human
that's
can
true.
cast magic without an arcanum, which was weird to me because that's supposed to be this very unique thing, right? Like humans
Yeah,
aren't
a
supposed to
really
be able to do
surprising
that.
thing it should be.
But he's kind of like, all right, moving on then. You can't cast this magic though, so that's okay. What?
So, if you didn't notice, I'm back.
Welcome
But
back.
yeah, but yeah, I did hear one about Ibis and how he takes comes suddenly knowing magic.
You missed my rant
Yeah,
about the Moonshadow Elves being dicks.
what did I want to say? Did you guys talk about Rylan Callum and their fight?
Yes, but go ahead.
Yes.
I just want to say that one, I didn't get the point, considering they make up so fast. This was, this
I
was
think
eh.
right the point's supposed to be like again it's young love, right? They're still trying to figure things out and where they stand with one another and they still have a long ways to go in this relationship, right? But I think one of the points was is that this is very much a major moment for Rayleigh, like trying to figure out who she is, where she stands, right? Like that's the big part. That's I think a big part of that season is of this season is Rayleigh's character and figuring out who she is, where she belongs, and what she can and can't do, right? Like just like it was for Callum in the previous season. And Callum thinks that it shouldn't matter that if Rayla's that what Rayla's parents did or didn't do shouldn't matter to her. She should be focused on herself, right, and what she can do and what she should do. But Rayla doesn't see it that way, so she gets upset by the fact that Callum would, right?
Yeah.
So I get why she
But
gets upset.
again,
I get why the fights
I
there
know
and why
what I
Rayla gets
know why
upset.
she gets upset, but at the same time, I think they just threw in a fight for the sake of having the couple fighting thing and not because again they make up so
I
quickly.
think they
It's
put
like
it in
what's
to
the point?
show how dickish the Moonshadow Elves are to their own people.
I
Like
mean, that's
seriously,
also an option.
why did no one go up to the, Dragon Queen's home and cast the history spell? You have a spell that can do this, and no one else did this. It took Callum coming here to do it when you can do it without even the use of a moon opal. Why did no one do that? Why did people just assume her parents ran away, so cast them out? Like, fuck, the Moonshadow Elves are such dicks.
If there is another,
But I've already ranted about this, so
I,
I'll not rant about it
I
again.
I'm assuming that this is probably something that's going to play into
I hope
the
it
future
does. I really
seasons.
hope it does. As I said with Ghetto earlier, right? I really hope, right, that we don't come back into season 4 and the Moonshadow Elves accept Rayla back. And it's just like, hey, we accept you back now. Welcome. And Rayla's just, okay, cool. I'm back now. I hope she calls them out for it. I really do, because they deserve to be called out for it.
Well, what I do want to say is that this is the episode where Soren officially joins,
Mm-hmm.
the good guys, and I do like that. He joins the good guys, and he also has some vital information. Like up until this point, he was a bit of a buff and everything, but no, here he comes and says, "Okay, I know Viren better than anyone here. I know how he thinks. I know what he does. He told me some stuff. We are going to use this in order to hurt him.
I
We
mean,
are
he
going
also.
to."
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. What did you have to say?
I loved Soren's speech here because he also talks about how my father comes to you and says all these things that you feel like they're the right things. He makes you feel like you're doing the right thing when you're truly not. He makes you feel like these are the best decisions. These are good decisions. You're doing the right thing, but he's not, and you're not. He's just tricking you.
Yeah,
I loved that.
that's
That
the
was a
Yeah.
great speech
description
from
of
Soren.
rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that speech, and I do like, so the idea that that flashback scene with Viren fighting Rhino's parents in order to take Zim's egg.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that flashback.
Loved
You
Rayla's
know,
parents.
the,
Me too, yeah. And can we talk a minute about their parents? Because what do you think? What happened to them?
Well, they were turned into the
um,
coins.
Yeah, I think so too. Because he said, "How can I repay you?" And I don't think he just killed them because they disappeared. So they didn't find any bodies.
Yeah, I'm fairly
this
sure like he turned them into the coins like he did with Runan. I think that's pretty obvious. I would say.
probably.
So there might be a reunion of Rayla and her parents, as well
Uh,
as Barry and
it,
Possible.
Luna.
Unless you
it's
age
possible.
inside the coins, and so like they'll come out of the coins, and it's like, well, we're dying.
Yeah,
So it will be like Ant-Man and the Wasp, where she returns to the time, but she's older.
Mm-hmm. So I, that'd be such a dick thing for them to do too. It's like my parents are back. Oh, they're dying, so I get to be with them for one moment before they dead. Yeesh. That'd be dickish of
yeah,
the show to do, but I could imagine the
yeah,
writers doing something like that.
yeah. But I'm not sure if it'll be because from what I got, the event where the Dragon Egg got stolen, it wasn't too far away, about a year,
Oh
I
no,
think,
no.
right?
Yeah, like I'm
It
just,
was really
it's
close.
mostly
So
just me kind of spitballing and joking around. Like I don't think that's going to be the case. Like it's not been
Uh,
that long ago.
yeah. So moving on to the final episode.
yeah, I'd like to ask you a question. What was your
Sure.
favorite quote in this episode
In
Favorite
episode 8 or
quote.
episode 9?
of this eighth episode? Yeah.
8th episode.
Mm, I
Go ahead,
don't remember
sorry.
much quotes, so that's a problem. Like I don't remember dialogue one on one.
I would say definitely like if we were talking about episode 8, probably Soren's speech. Like his entire speech would probably be my favorite quote.
Yeah, and you know what? I will second that. I don't have a direct quote, but it's a moment that involves speaking, so I'll count it.
Okay, and I guess you can already imagine what my favorite quote is. Was already also shown in the trailer, where Callum says to Ezran, "My little brother, all grown up and riding dragons."
Of course.
Yeah, that's a good. That's another thing I like, that they actually have dragons helping them out in the final battle, and oh boy, and well, I think people listen to this all know that we are all coming from the How to Train a Dragon franchise. We are all How to Train a Dragon fans, so seeing these dragons being so big and massive, and not the How to Train a Dragon dragons, actually took me off guard in these fighting sequences.
And these aren't
Like
even
it's
the
like,
bigger dragons either.
yeah, but it was, these dragons have an impact when they land and they use their fire. Yeah, like you feel that. You feel their size. That's great. Anyway, so the final battle just lives up to its name, because this is a grand battle, to and not necessarily an end all be all, because by the end we do have a tease for season 4, which is Varen having his mirror friend with him. Arvos, the caterpillar turning into a cocoon. Who knows what's going to come?
Yeah. And
who knows?
we should talk about how.
I swear, though, I swear, if he comes out of that cocoon looking like Matra from the Godzilla movies, that'll be something.
I'm just wondering, since it'll be probably himself who comes out of the cocoon, I wonder, will he still be trapped in the mirror? Like he's just controlling a body in the other world, because
that's actually.
I think it'll be like he said with Viren was kind of his vessel, quote unquote. I think this will be something similar, like this creature that comes out of the cocoon, whatever it might be. I don't think it'll be exactly him. Like it'll be a vessel for him that he can more physically interact with the world around him, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll be out of the mirror world now and he's free now because he got some of the dragon's magic.
Yeah.
Hard to say
but
exactly.
It could also be that when they beat him, that he's still alive in this prison world. That the fight isn't over yet. But we will see in later seasons, hopefully.
But going back to the battle, right? Like I loved, like they had a ton of pieces, moving pieces on the screen with this one, like with all the soldiers and the fire going on. Like they did real well at animating this. Like it was very nice to watch, right?
Like you can tell they had to improve the animation just for that.
Yeah. Absolutely agree.
And this is actually a part I really like. Let's jump into it now. Is that Soren supposedly kills Varen? That
Claudia also being kind of a dick, like kind of leading Soren on as to like, wow, you killed our dad, and then all of a sudden, oh no, you didn't. I'm screwing with you. Like, geez, Claudia.
Yeah, like Claudia's a bitch. Okay, let's
not
say
go
this,
that
but
far.
No, she is. This is rude. Are you talking to me about rude? After are you kidding me? Like she deserves worse than a bitch. In terms of words about this, but whatever. The thing is, the moment he thinks he kills his father, this is powerful. This hits. This hits so hard, and because you see how it affects him too. He's not just, okay, I'm protecting Ezra, and that means I feel no guilt. No. He feels the guilt. He looks at the body and he's like, oh, I did this. I killed my own father, and what Claudia says doesn't help. But then when he found
again, like he never left Viren because he hated him and he thought like, hey, he's completely evil. Like he still does care for his dad, and he still does want to see good in his dad, right?
Yeah, but again, the fact he did it, and his reaction to it, it felt so real, and it was so powerful. So So good. And
Um,
but of course, Viren is not dead. That was an illusion,
mhm.
of course.
Of course,
Um,
he's with them.
but another part I want to point out is that kind of pointed out something Wolf said. Callum did nothing in this fight. He used Asper once,
And he used the lightning
and
bolt once. And then
yeah,
Prince Kasuf, Prince Monster Kasuf came up and pretty much kicked his butt for a bit until he was saved again
Yeah, but
by
but
you could
the.
see
honestly,
he's not a warrior, you know. There you
Again,
could
I
see
get
it.
it, right?
yeah, I
I
get
do
it.
get it.
I get it, but I did, the episode kind of starts with him doing the tattoo thing and trying to grow wings, and I kind of figured out that he didn't make it now, but something is going to happen to Ryla, and he would manage to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind that I called it because it was a great moment, but
Mm-hmm.
still, it is something I was able to point out,
It
and
was obvious, right, that was going to be the case. That, like,
yeah,
hey, this is going to be what's happened. I did like the fact that, hey, we had the army of Durin come in with Corvus and Jelly Tart guy with his, jelly
Yeah.
tarts and his rolling pin just kicking soldiers' butts. Like, come on. You're hamming it up again, but all right, fine. I'll give you this is good ham. Like, that was fun. That was enjoyable. And, like, Kasuf is just outright dead now. An arrow
yeah.
through the heart and head, and just he's gone. And this was like,
I also,
and also it's. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, you finish.
Well, it's just it's interesting that hey, we had this character who came here like seeking revenge for his father, and now he's dead, and his father's not dead. But now how's his father going to feel when he finds out like it was technically the army of Durin that killed his son in Zadia?
Well,
Like,
maybe
there's
he
definitely some
understands it.
maybe, but I don't think that'll be the case. But then again, we may
Yeah.
not actually be broaching that subject potentially. Who knows? It's very interesting though, like for that character to come in here, be kind of a minor part of all this, and help start all of this, but also at the same time, it just kind of. I guess it's the moral is like, hey, this is where revenge gets you, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Um.
Another thing I also liked is during the battle, where Sim finally got the courage and wanted to see his mother. I really loved that part where he tried to wake her up. It was so.
oh yeah, that part actually got me a bit teary-eyed.
Yeah.
I won't lie. This was and her actually waking up. That was also
And everyone kind of standing around. Like, we've not talked about it a lot, but General Janai and General Amaya, becoming real close friends with one another and
Oh yeah.
getting along.
Really,
That was a lot of
really
fun.
lovely. Yeah.
yep.
And
You
just
you can
seeing.
see in the end of the last 8th episode where Shania blushed when Karum asked if they are friends now. They are thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of good stuff going on with that. And just seeing
Yeah.
like kind of all of them holding hands in front of Zubeia, and Zubeia like, my dream has come true, elves and humans united once more again. You're like, that's a neat little thing. And I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
learn more about that, which will be interesting, kind of how Zubeia saw things compared to maybe how her husband didn't see things, maybe. It'll be interesting going forward.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm and I'm ready to see where this goes. I'm ready to see
I do
I'm ready
have
to see what we have.
one question I want to put forward. Did this season feel like it moved too quickly to either of you?
Honestly, no.
You don't
No,
think so?
actually not. Even though when you think about it, there's all of these events in just 9 episodes. You could think it's all done so quickly, but it didn't feel like it. It really felt perfectly paced.
To a degree, for me, right? I I guess maybe it's how I went into the season. I didn't think we'd be getting to like this big kind of battle, right? At this moment. Like, I felt like Viren would be a much bigger threat that would build up to Zadia a bit more. Like, we'd be mostly focused on exploring Zadia. Then next season would be when we'd get the humans and Viren specifically invading Zadia to attack it, right?
Mm.
That's kind of what I thought might happen. So it felt a little weird that we got the final, that we got our quote unquote final battle with Viren, at least as of now, in this season, right? Like it felt to me like, wow, that feels like it's a little quick, maybe a little bit out of nowhere. But at the same time, I do agree, like this season still does feel fairly well paced. I think it's mostly just
No,
comes down to
this
how I
I
kind of
think
came into it with my own preconceptions, right?
yeah, this is something that a lot of people. I'm not sure if I'm bring this up, but I do like that they're not that this show specifically doesn't feel obligated to use the 13 episode season format, and they just said, okay, we have a story to tell in 9 episodes, let's keep it 9 episodes. So because I think out of all this is the season where I generally felt like there was no real filler. There was just like every episode moved the story along, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
And I understand why fillers exist. Sometimes you need a filler to kind of let stuff digest. But in this show, I think the fact that there was no fillers in this season really helped it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the more I think about it, I think like they've definitely, to at least some degree, have nailed their 9 episode structure and how they want to use it and using it appropriately, right?
Yep.
I would like more episodes, not gonna lie, but at the same time, I will admit I don't know, other than not having the final battle in this season and kind of moving that to the next season and just traveling through Zadia more and seeing Callum and Rella's relationship grow more, I don't know exactly what you could add or do with this season, right? To to fill out and make it feel enjoyable and not too like, okay, why did we have this? It's not really necessary, right?
Yeah.
So I like, again, I think my complaint about the season feeling like it moved too fast this season in particular. I think it mostly just came down to my preconceptions going into it, right? But getting past those preconceptions and thinking about it, I do think it still fits for what it is and doesn't feel like it's moving too quickly.
Which is good.
Yeah, I agree.
So, anything else?
Yeah, I have one last question.
Go
How
ahead.
could Viren survive? I mean, he didn't. That was shown in the last episode. But to heal Soren, Claudia needed a deer, a young deer to that can walk again. To bring him back to life, she must have used much more magic.
Oh, I mean,
Some
okay.
bigger magical creature or whatever to bring him back to life. Especially when she said that this worm thing started to grow up 2 days ago, so he was already dead 2 days. So she must have used a lot of dark magic to bring him back to life. And I don't know how she did it.
I mean, you
But
can
it
see.
also shows how much she loved him. Loves him and wants this family to stay together.
I mean, you can see, right, that... Oh, go ahead.
No, this is something that we will need to see in the next season.
Oh,
and they should explain it, because
Yeah, I really hope they will do.
I mean, you can definitely see, like, she definitely killed something or someone, because you can see, right, there's definitely some blood around from potentially something she killed, and you can see, like, even more of her hair is white now than what it was before.
Yeah, a lot of more.
Like before, she had just one strand. Now she's got half her hair is white, right? Like, there's definitely... She definitely used a lot of dark magic, as you said, and it'll be very interesting to learn, like, what did she kill in order to do that, right?
Oh, I just skipped back to this scene, and I see a foot in the background. Only a foot. So
interesting.
Could
a
have been an
person
elf.
probably.
Could have been an elf.
At least one. Wow. Really dark. I didn't think she could do that. Sacrifice a human.
Well, I mean,
for
it
her
kind of
father.
goes like that's how much she cares for her family, right?
Yeah.
And just how far she's willing to go, and maybe how far she might be willing to fall. We'll see. Like, will Claudia be pulled back out of that like her brother was?
And
Yeah,
the bigger question is it even possible to bring her back, to the good side? Or is she too far to the dark side that there's no way to go back?
There are a lot of ways this could go, but the thing is, we don't know yet, and I don't really want to make assumptions at this point because I know that if the show doesn't follow what I assume, this could impact my enjoyment of the next season whenever it comes. So I won't make assumptions about next season. All we know is that I hope they didn't just leave that tease for nothing, and something is indeed planned.
Renew them, Netflix. Do it or we riot.
I think they will do more seasons. I think Netflix is smart enough to see how popular it is. I'm sure it's popular. Let's say that.
I hope so too.
So it deserves some more seasons.
So on that positive note, this is all for this episode of the Outcast. I think we pretty much went over everything we have to say.
Go watch Dragon Prince. It was very enjoyable. This was a good season.
Yeah. So with that said, what did you guys think about this new season? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below, on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with a capital B, capital C, or our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team. So until next time, I was HC.
I was Wolf.
Ghetto King was Ghetto King, and we will talk to you all next. Take care.
Bye bye.